Rolling along, and let's do another rockstar welcome for the CEO of With You, With Me. Please clap your hands together and welcome to the stage another Tom, Mr. Tom Moore.
Thanks, Tommy. Yeah, look, it's interesting. I don't usually like to talk for long periods of time. I know everyone might find that really interesting, but it's true. And today, the reason why I'm talking is to go through a few things. One is because I was asked to by a number of veterans, and one thing we want to get across is the true value of our organisation and what we're trying to do and the key sort of mission. I also want to talk about what we fucked up and what we need to improve. And finally, then I'm going to sort of end with the innovation that's coming to sort of solve it. Now, the point I'll make at the start, and I think Tom Larder said in our last Expo, is that we sort of don't want to be around in 4 years. We do not want to be around trying to fix this issue in 4 years because it means we haven't fixed it. So something that's different this time, and you'll see it throughout today, there is a lot more company flags here than there are our flags, first point. And secondly, there are a lot more employers here than there are my staff. And hopefully eventually we won't need to have any of the blue up there and the ridiculously confusing name that Tommy's got right about 3 times so far. But the point out of it is I'm going to sort of talk a little bit about my journey because I really haven't sort of got across the lessons that I've learned. And whether if you're a veteran, an athlete, a defence spouse or someone that's returning to work, it should help. And if I knew the things that I had learned now, and I've actually learned a lot of them quite recently, we probably could have solved, we'd definitely be a lot further ahead, but I'd definitely be a lot more happier in what I was doing when I left the military, and I'd avoided a lot of the mistakes that I made. So to kick off, the first thing I want to talk about is the power of self-reflection and aligning the goal, mind and heart when you transition or when you re-roll, and just constantly as a process throughout life. When I was in the military, I was probably an average, pretty crappy reservist, infantryman, an all right officer, and a terrible trainee. And I can say that, and I don't think I've told Tom Larder, but I was actually one of his trainees once. And boy, have the tides changed, mate. So yeah, first point when you leave the military, you don't understand where people end up, and you might end up working for one of your soldiers, one of your NCOs and everything like that. So don't forget that point. When I was in the military, it was everything to me. It was what I wanted to do. My family served in every war since the Boer War. And I was the first one to go become an officer, which I got harped about by my uncles for a long time. And after I came back from Afghanistan, my body stopped functioning the way I wanted it to function. And I didn't deal with it the right way. I thought I could come back. I went through 12 months of rehab, and at the end of it, I didn't come back. And I almost didn't come back to the point that I wasn't here. And there's actually quite a few people in the room. If it wasn't for them, I probably wouldn't be. And what I found out of it is that I got out after 12 months. I couldn't get a job. I eventually recovered. But what I never asked myself at the time that I've learned since is that when I went through that highly negative process, what did I contribute that led to that downfall? What did I actually do wrong? Because I definitely didn't win the transition as I came out. And I don't think I'm there yet either. But I inherently made it worse for myself as I left. And some of the things that I did was, one, push away superiors, neglect doctors, specialists, tell them they were wrong. The third thing I did was I thought it'd be smarter to build muscle over the damaged muscle. If anyone understands the musculoskeletal system, that was a really stupid thing to do. And I did that for a long time, and I held a lot of blame for a long time. And what I've learned since is that there's a lot of negative things there that I then held with me as I came out into the workforce. So I've learned the power that when I left, I should have picked a goal. And I should have aligned my abilities, which is your mind, and the skills to get there as I left. And finally, what I should have done is align my heart to the mind and the goal when I achieved it and removed those negative flaws. And a good example, and I was actually taught by this by one of my friends a month ago, is that I lost complete trust in everyone. So trust in the hiring process, trust in who I was working for, and I came across as a bad candidate and a bad employee, which is one reason why I had to be the CEO of my own organization to come back. But the fact of the matter is that's sort of the case. So I used to go out and say, oh, you have to earn my trust. No. Very simple mantra to change that is, you have my trust and you've got it till you lose it. And that sort of drastically changed the way that we've operated in the last 8 months, and it's made me a lot more comfortable. So when you're going through your transition and when you're picking a new job, get in the process of learning and self-reflection. Because if you do, you'll start to identify the little negative flaws that you pick up, and you get to align them to a goal, and then it makes it just that little bit easier. The next point that I found quite interesting, if you met me 18 months ago, you would have known that I was sick of getting advice. I got advice like 100 times a day about why my business model wouldn't work, how it wouldn't work, why I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and I just constantly got over it. That doesn't work, and Australians will never stop giving you advice. You only have to have a barbecue or to sit at a pub for 40 seconds before you see someone comment to the bartender on how much head they've got in their beer and how they should have done it differently. So, if you realise that the battle is that everyone's going to give you advice, learn the power of asking for it and controlling the engagement. So ask people for it. And then all of a sudden, it becomes a little bit cleaner, it becomes a little bit more filtered, but more importantly, it's highly actionable. And then if you apply that as a sequence again and again and again and again, you start to grow exponentially and you tap into a whole bunch of data of years of experience. And the point that I want to make is the least used program where we have 340 executives on, so I think we've got about 5 people getting mentored at the moment, is our mentoring program. No one uses it. It blows my mind. I used to have to cold call CEOs to get them to take a job interview with me, and we've got 340 executives sitting there waiting for it. So if you align and you pick a goal and you understand the power of it asking for advice, you'll be amazed the amount of things people in this room will do for you if you just ask. And when you ask, look for an outcome and an output, and you'll start to speed up significantly in your journey. Now, the best way to describe our organisation at the moment is that it's a toddler. It's like, 2.5, 3 years old, and I'm like a novice teenage parent. So that's meant that we've made a lot of errors, and we know we have. But to talk about underemployment, which is what we're trying to solve here, it's a very near impossible task. No one's solved it before. And we're chipping away at it, And much like a Section 2 IC, when you get promoted and you're a Lance Jack and all of a sudden you got your first Bush X coming up and for some reason you carry 800 AA batteries and then you get ripped by the section commander because you're not as fit as everyone else, but it's really you're carrying 800 AA batteries. We worked out that we couldn't solve the issue all in one day. And that relates to sort of my next point. When people leave the military, you try to solve the issue all at once. And that's what we found a lot. And solving the issue is like trying to find happiness straight away. It's very, very hard to gain wisdom and happiness overnight. For wisdom, it's a lifetime of knowledge. And for happiness, it's a lifetime of identifying joy. I used to have Warrant Officer Rain and he used to talk all the time about peaks and troughs, and I had no idea what he was speaking about. And he used to go saying like, it's all about peaks and troughs, irregardless. And I specifically just had no idea what he was saying. And what I sort of highlighted is when you leave the military and you've got a goal and you get into that goal, don't worry about happiness. Look for moments of joy. I got this job, I work with this person, I can go for a surf on the weekend, I've learnt this skill. It's all not going to be perfect straight away and you're going to take a lot of hits. And that's to my last point. You've got to take the leap. Everything is pretty much a reversible decision when you leave. Trust me. And if you plan it, you're going to have a lot more reversible decisions. So if you take the leap, you can generally get there pretty easily. And you shouldn't be worried about it. The point that you should take away from today, and everyone's sort of highlighting it, is skills, demand, and the market. The market is relentless. The market doesn't have emotion. So what that means for everyone in the room is that you need to have market agility. And as we look at the challenges of the future of work, if you want to stay out of underemployment and keep going up and up and up and up, for the candidates in the room, it's about being in demand. And for the employers in the room, they already know it. It's about seeking out new supply. And getting better at it will lead directly to business outcomes. So if you're a veteran looking to be in demand, it's always about being the hero of your own journey. You constantly have to apply a process. It's like a variation of the ASDA and the OODA loop, where you're analysing the market, you're working out what's in demand out there, what do you want to do, what you can do, and then how you get there. And you have to keep applying that again and again and again and again. For the companies in the room, they've got to show leadership, and they already are, at identifying new pipelines and taking chances of people that don't match the CV that they've got because the market's growing way too fast. So they've got to undergo a rebirth. And what does that mean, and how can you sum it up? Pretty simple. And you would have seen the banner that we've got off to our left, is that for the veterans and candidates in the room from all walks of life, be fierce. It's going to mean that for the rest of the next 20 to 30 years, 40 years, until Musk puts like a robot in your head and you can exponentially grow faster, you have to constantly learn a new skill, and it takes courage to do that every single time, and it takes courage to question where you are and if you're in demand or not. For the employers in the room, be fierce as well, because it's going to take good leadership to solve our underemployment problem and identify and challenge the status quo and hire new people into jobs that could look risky. So what do we do as an organisation? Our organisation has moved from just working with veterans to looking at the wider underemployment issue, because that's actually, if we solve that, we solve it for everyone. And we do it in two ways. We help companies hire diverse talent, and we are now helping companies keep their staff by redeploying and retraining and testing them. We do that through two mechanisms. One's the career management platform, needs a bit of work. Second one's the online training platform, also needs a bit of work. But we are going to get there. And some of the things that we know we need to improve, and we actually are running a whole bunch of focus groups today, but feel free to come up and complain as well, because we do need to improve, is that we're creating a valued customer experience. So our program at the moment works for about 15% of people leaving the military, but people just need advice, people just need CV coaching, people just need a skill, and people just need a job. Some people are already ready, and we're trying to tailor them through the whole system. We've learned that we're going to make that a lot more accessible. The second thing we've learned is that a lot of the training in the market isn't that good. So we're going to start owning a lot more of it. We're going to release a cloud course, a data course, and a distributed ledger technology course in the next 3 months to give you an even more competitive skill set in the market that's currently required. And the final thing that we've worked out to help with transitions and a greater value proposition to our clients is that anyone that completes one of our courses will retrain over the course of 3 years, so we can align you to an 8-year career goal, and you don't have to worry about it as much, so we can release that burden. Some of the cool stuff we've got coming up is a complete learning platform that's not what we've currently got, but a complete new platform that looks at matching the first time skills being taught, matched to market and the individual. So there's generally about 10 learning styles. You will now have a complete learning system that gives you the content in the way you delivered, because we worked out we needed to compete for your time, because people like Netflix are just like pumping so much stuff that we also need to compete for your time. So we're going to make it a better experience. The second thing that we're going to introduce is we want to remove the CV. It doesn't work. The checkbox recruiting model doesn't work, and companies know it, and so do individuals, and it's very frustrating. So we're now plugging in an automated technology that allows you to go through our course, go through our training, and get matched internally. So you don't actually have to worry about the profile in the CV. And finally, we aim to have the best teaching experience by building an automated system of bots that are matched to your learning style, matched to your personality, and actually react to you. And all this should be released by the end of the calendar year. So keep track of it. If you've got any ideas that you want to throw in, feel free to grab me today and bark my ear off. The next thing we've got, and I'm not going to steal little robotic and Indo's thunder over there, is we're going to actually show you one of the automations that we've done, which you might find quite cheeky, and I'll let him go through it. But to end on sort of a note, there's a lot of employers here today. They're here for you, and they're here for you because they think you're a return on investment, not because it's a charity case at all. Make sure you reach out to them. Self-reflect when you leave and when you go through a new role. Trust me, it helps a lot. Ask for advice and own it. And always, always be in demand. And how you can do that is by being the hero of your own journey and being fierce. Thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Moore.